Why, hello there. There's a tiny pigeon! Isn't he cute? I'm obsessed with nanoblocks recently, so I've got like so many. Anyway, how is everyone? How are you doing? This is basically the standardized test they use to diagnose autism. At least in the past, it probably has changed now. But as you will see as we go through some of the statements that you have to agree with or not, it's very biased towards a particular answer. So if you're taking this quiz and convinced that you aren't autistic, you're probably going to end up with neurotypical results. I will crack on. I will take the autism quiz. We will see how autistic I am or whatever. I do take issue with that. I think you're autistic or you're not, there isn't really any degree of autism, in my opinion. That's why I'm not going to call this video How Autistic Am I, because that makes no sense. However, I will take the quiz, so here we go. By the way, my name is Neve. I make videos about autism, soon to be making videos about ADHD. I know I keep saying that, but honestly, the irony is it's ADHD that's holding me back. Let's get on with the quiz. So it's on this website called psychologytools.com, which doesn't sound very legitimate, but it says here that it's taken from the Autism Spectrum Quotient test, which is abbreviated to AQ, and it was first published in 2001 by Simon Baron Cohen, who is a very famous autism researcher, and his colleagues at the Cambridge Autism Research Centre, and it's part of a certain study. So it's pretty legitimate. I'll link it in the description box of the video if you too want to take the test. There are 50 statements. I will try and be brisk, but there'll probably be some things I take issue with, we'll see. Number 1, I prefer to do things with others rather than on my own. I would definitely disagree with this. I have a very deep inner world I like imagining, and group activities spell a certain level of dread in my bones. Wait, yeah, disagree. I prefer to do things the same way over and over again. I would definitely agree. If there's a slight change to any kind of routine, even food, like if there's a different type of food that I have to buy because they haven't got the one that I want, it's not great. I can do it, I can deal with it, but it's I would prefer that it was the same. Number 3, if I try to imagine something, I find it very easy to create a picture in my mind. Yes, almost too easily. I'm a daydreamer. I frequently get so strongly absorbed in one thing that I lose sight of other things. Oh my god, that is like, I've said this in my other video about 100 times, but that is the story of my life. It's also probably ADHD, but I do get distracted very easily about all kinds of things all the time, like I just did then, so that was ironic. I often notice small sounds when others do not. I would say yes. Makes sleep a massive issue, particularly because I can hear like car alarms a million years away and dogs, and it's like, no. Number 6, I usually notice car number plates or similar strings of information. I actually do. Like, I remember strings of numbers and codes really easily. I'm not a great person with phone numbers, but if I have to remember it, I will be able to. So yes, I do usually notice car number plates and just strings of stuff, so that's correct. Number 7, other people frequently tell me that what I've said is impolite, even though I think it is polite. Right, I'm having to hold my microphone, so I hope you can't see it. Because my laptop is deciding to be noisy now, so great times. Disagree. I'm actually the opposite. I try so hard not to make people feel unhappy, often to my own detriment and mental health, so I should probably just say what's on my mind even if it's impolite, because at least it's honest. I'm going to say slightly disagree, because sometimes I do say things and I'm like, that was probably the exact wrong context to bring that up. Number 8, when I'm reading a story, I can easily imagine what the characters might look like. Yup. Number 9, I'm fascinated by dates. Oh my god, that's why I'm into astrology, man. I mean, it's not, there's multiple reasons I love astrology, but I do love dates and I love calendars. I literally have a diary and a calendar, and I use my phone calendar, so I just love dates and planning and time. I also like medjool dates. They're nice. Number 10, in a social group, I can easily keep track of several different people's conversations. No. I really can't. Usually if it's too many people, I just zone out and wish I was somewhere else. I find social situations easy. Social situations in general, I would say no. If there's someone I know really well, like a family member or like my best friend or my boyfriend, then obviously I'm not going to find it hard. Most times, no. I tend to notice details that others do not. I literally do that all the time, and people are like, that's not relevant. And I'm like, yes it is. It's all part of the puzzle, man. At number 13, I would rather go to a library than to a party. I mean, now that is a good autobiography title. Number 14, I find making up stories easy. Yes. I have too many stories on the go, I need to finish one. Number 15, I find myself drawn more strongly to people than to things. Now this is an interesting one. Some autistic people get special interests in other people. However, I don't really. I tend to feel more strongly to things. I had my favourite tree as a kid that was defiled by some hideous bullies and made me cry. So yeah, stop being depressing, Neve. I would say I slightly... But then sometimes I go on like a Wikipedia rabbit hole and I find people interesting, but more as like a research project than like getting to know them. So I would say slightly disagree. Number 16, I tend to have very strong interests, which I get upset about if I can't pursue. I would say, maybe surprisingly, slightly disagree. I don't have very strong interests. They kind of like vary quite a lot, which I think is more common with the female presentation of autism. We tend to have more varied and transient interests. Yeah, I think I slightly disagree with that one. Number 17, I enjoy social chit-chat. No. Well, again, it sort of depends. Sometimes it's just less awkward to talk to someone, you know what I mean? But most of the time for me it feels more awkward, so. 18, when I talk it isn't always easy for others to get a word. Is it edgeways? I always thought it was edgeways. I would definitely agree with that. I literally, when I get talking, I can't shut up. 19, I'm fascinated by numbers. Fascinated, I would say no, but I would say they are slightly interesting. 20, when I'm reading a story, I find it difficult to work out the character's intentions. Actually, yeah, I would say strongly agree. Like, a lot of the time, I'm not even really reading for the characters, I'm kind of reading for like some sort of subplot or reading for some kind of symbolism. So yeah, I often don't even bother to work out their intentions, and sometimes they do stupid things and I'm like, why? 21, I don't particularly enjoy reading fiction. Disagree, I love fiction. 22, I find it hard to make new friends. I would say I think I can make acquaintances pretty easily, but as for friends, like following up and stuff, it's difficult with ADHD. Very difficult. So I would say slightly agree. 23, I notice patterns and things all the time, similar to the one above, but yes. 24, I'd rather go to the theatre than to a museum. Over the two, I would say museum, so I'm going to slightly disagree. Actually, no, I'm going to very disagree because theatres can be really loud and I'm not a big fan of musicals. Have I now lost a lot of my audience? Probably. It does not upset me if my daily routine is disturbed. That is extremely wrong. I feel like I keep answering this wrong. Like, the 4 points are confusing me. 26, I frequently find that I don't know how to keep a conversation going. Interesting. I used to be a lot more like that, particularly as a teenager. I was just like, what the hell do I say now? It's also kind of hard because, not through any malintent, but I find it really hard to remember things people have told me, even if it's like important information. Kicking myself later because I'm like, I could have brought that very important thing up that they brought up, or asked them about their life thing that they were talking to me about. Whoops. Agree. I find it easy to read between the lines when someone's talking to me. No way, Jose. I have no idea what people are saying half the time. 90% of the time when someone tells a joke, I think and it's a sarcastic joke, I think they're being rude, and they're not. They're just telling a joke, so. 28, I usually concentrate more on the whole picture rather than the small details. I never understand when people say whole picture versus details, like I genuinely don't know what that means. I'd say kind of both, but you can't do a middle option. No, I would say slightly disagree. I think overall I care more about the details. I find it quite hard to picture the full picture. I just remembered, I think they asked me a similar thing when I had my diagnosis when I was 15. Bear in mind, that was 10 years ago. Oh boy, life is fleeting. And I remember them saying something like, oh, you can only really see the leaves and the details on the leaves rather than the tree. And I was like, I think you're right. 29, I'm not very good at remembering phone numbers. I would say slightly disagree. I'm not great, but I'm not terrible. 30, I don't usually notice small changes in a situation or a person's appearance. Disagree. I remember, like, literally someone will change their hair slightly and they're like, how did you notice I changed my hair? And I'm like, you look different. 31, I know how to tell if someone listening to me is getting bored. No, I just can't read people at all. 32, I find it easy to do more than one thing at once. ADHD kind of makes this a thing anyway, so I'm just going to put slightly disagree because it is really tricky for me, but like I can do it. And often I have to because I have so many ideas going through my head, like a big pinball machine or something. 33, when I talk on the phone, I'm not sure when it's my turn to speak. Yeah. Well, I don't really talk on the phone that much anyway, but if I have to phone some company or something and they start talking and then I interrupt them with a question, I'm like, whoops, I should probably have waited for them to stop. But if I don't ask as soon as I get the question in my head, how am I meant to remember what my question is? That is my question. 34, I enjoy doing things spontaneously. I would say slightly agree. Like, sometimes I'm just so bored of the routine, which is ironic. because obviously I keep going on about routines and liking them. 35, I'm often the last to understand the point of a joke. Yep. 36, I find it easy to work out what someone is thinking or feeling just by looking at their face. No way. Unless they're literally crying, and then I'm like, you're sad. But generally facial expressions are completely lost on me, and masks as well. I know they're very essential, but because I now have to read people's eyes, I can't read their eyes. 37, if there's an interruption, I can switch back to what I was doing very quickly. Not really, slightly disagree. I can sometimes, but if I'm really stressed, then no way. 38, I'm good at social chit chat. I would say slightly disagree. I think I can do it, but it's very draining. 39, people often tell me that I keep going on and on about the same thing. If I get something in my head and I can't let go of it, I will literally I won't stop talking about it. And it does drive my family crazy. So, sorry about that, I do go on and on about something if I can't figure it out. 40, when I was young, I used to enjoy playing games involving pretending with other children. Yes. In fact, I was so affected by that, in a good way, that I still want to write down the stories that we played out, because even though they were kids' games, they were surprisingly quite deep and dense, and they had sort of a lore. It was quite cool. I was quite lucky to have friends that would cooperate with me, but yes, I did do a lot of pretend games. 41, I like to collect information about categories of things, like types of cars, birds, trains and plants. No, I don't. I don't really do that. No. 42, I find it difficult to imagine what it would be like to be someone else. Yeah, I often think about that, and I'm like, you have such a different personality and outlook on life to me, and I just can't understand it. Yeah, I find it really difficult to imagine the world through someone else's eyes. That was meant to be some sort of reference to Prince of Egypt, but it went wrong. 43, I like to carefully plan any activities I participate in. Yup. There's a list for everything, my friend. 44, I enjoy social occasions. Nah, I would rather read a book. 45, I find it difficult to work out people's intentions literally every day. 46, new situations make me anxious. Yes. 47, I enjoy meeting new people. I do not. I would rather stick around the same group of people if possible. 48, I'm a good diplomat. No, I'm not. I would rather not be in any sort of situation like that, thanks, because I can't diplomise my way out of anything. Or even use the word diplomate correctly. 49, I'm not very good at remembering people's date of birth. That is absolutely incorrect. I'm like, that's one of the best things I'm good at, because I can relate it to astrology and then I remember. 50, I find it very easy to play games with children that involve pretending. I'm going to say slightly disagree, but I haven't had much interaction with children in my life, unless you're counting when I was also a child, which I'm guessing this isn't. And when children are around, I'm just like, no. So yeah, I'm going to say strongly disagree actually. So score my answers. I hope I've scored this the right way around, because in my head the dots were confusing me and I couldn't remember which way around it was. Score my answers. Your score was 41 out of a possible 50. Scores in the 33 to 50 range indicate significant autistic traits. So yeah, only 9 points off the maximum there, guys. That is pretty clear. Yeah, essentially I've just scored really high. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Neve. I do videos about autism, and this is my channel, fun time. Feel free to subscribe and like this video and watch my other videos, such as this one, which the algorithm thinks you might like, or this playlist, which has all of my autism content in one handy list. Thank you again for watching, my dudes, and peace out. I don't really know if I want to end the video like that, but that's what I did, so pika pika. Thanks Doja Cat for that great song.